can clearly see that this stream was off like for
we were just
3 months.
Yeah, we were dusting off the cobwebs here and just getting in the mood. But
wow, cool.
Thanks everyone for being patient. Let's then not dilly-dally for too long for now. And hello, good evening, everyone. Welcome back to Horde of Tales. And we're here tonight for a new round of adventures. We have a few familiar faces. We have a few new faces on the stream. And before we go through the typical announcements of, the regular things, why not take around our cast for this little campaign we're about to embark on and just have everyone quickly introduce themselves. I'm just looking at my beautiful overlay here, and let's just gonna start in the top left corner on my overlay, and that's Serial there. Serial, why don't you introduce yourself real quick?
Hello, everybody. Hello, old-time, lovely, lovely audience and newcomers. I am Serial. My pronouns are they, them. I am an illustrator and 2D artist, and I love D&D. I've been playing for like 5 years or so, or 6, ever since my partner introduced me to it. And here we are. I was part of the previous campaign in Horde of Tales of the Rise of the Ice Dragons. We had a lovely, lovely time with it. And now I'm here back again to this very new campaign. So hope to have lots of fun with all of you.
Thank you very much, Serial. A new face here is in the Punisher, our very own Ida here. Ida, why don't you tell our audience who you are?
Hi, my name is Ida. My pronouns are she and her. And like a lot of you, I started off in the comment section as a fan and admiring what was done. And because of the wonderful welcome community here, I got to do some discussions and some one-shots. And now I'm sitting here as a player playing with these amazing people. I've been playing D&D for like 3 years now. I've seen these awesome people play. I've seen this old ancient DM play a lot, and I look forward to this fresh dynamic. I look forward to the hijinks, and I look forward to starting. So,
thank you, Ida. And thank you for reminding me that I am old. But let's continue over to another new face on the stream here, Austin.
Oh, that's me. Hello. My name's Austin, pronouns he, they. I've been playing D&D for far too long that I really don't know how many years it has been. I was invited to play on the new stream here, and I'm excited for this new campaign and all these some familiar faces and new faces, and I think it's going to be a really fun time.
Yeah, great to have you on board, Austin. And then finally,
glad to be here.
We also have a familiar face on the stream, Caro, who will be joining as a player. Caro.
Yeah, hello everybody. It's been a while. Like last time something was streamed on this channel was probably the end of. It was actually the Women in Gaming in June, so this is a long time. So I normally DM on this channel, but this time I'm finally a player. Yes, I achieved the thing. So I'm playing D&D since 3.5 years by now. Nearly 4, I guess. Not that sure that anymore. And yeah, I'm most of the time full-time DM, less player, so I'm pretty happy about this. And I guess that's all about me. I'm not that sure. Yeah, I'm normally writing stuff for the Unskilled Adventures supplement stuffies. So the normal thingies. But I think we forgot someone. Probably Marcus. Did you say who you are?
That is indeed me. I am Marcus, pronouns being he, him. You can find me online as The Chindividual. If you ever ask why I'm called that, just look at my profile. And I am a very enthusiastic fan and game master, dungeon master of various tabletop RPGs, and I'm very glad to now finally also get the chance to live stream a game here. I've been playing a few games already with Sariel and Caro in the Rise of the Ice Dragons campaign. Ida knows me from my home game. Austin doesn't know me that well yet, but we'll change that soon. And really excited to really excited to get this show started. Now, before we get in for today's session, just a few service announcements. This game, we're running adventures from the Convergence Manifesto adventure path, which is a series of adventures set in the setting of Eberron, and the adventures are written by the Across Eberron project. If you like what you see on this channel with the adventure, check out acrosseberron.com, where you can find more information about these adventures. And generally, if you also want to follow them on Twitter, follow them at @acrosseberron. We have music tonight by Dark Fantasy Studios. And also, we have a little extra channel point button in there that you might see. There's a fairly expansive channel point button, which is the Cat Vantage. Now, I need to quickly elaborate how that works. For people who have viewed this stream before, sometimes my cat George likes to get a little bit of attention, and he comes in front of the screen. And we decided to make that a mechanic in the game. So how does it work? If you have the necessary channel points and you see my cat in screen, and yes, his tail also counts, so even if you just see the tail, then you can use the Cat Vantage, put that in the chat, and if you use that, you can also tell us which character gets advantage on their next roll. Yes, Ida?
Could the DM be given advantage too?
If you want to be mean and you want to you want to do
if
that,
you hate us,
you can also give the GM advantage. So make sure that you only use the Cat Vantage when you see the cat. And I'm going to do my darndest to not have this cat too much in screen. All right.
Wait, I have a question, Marcus. Do you guys on Zoom hear my voice and my my audio and my video okay? Or is it like not timed properly?
There's a little bit
It's
of lag.
a little bit behind.
But it's
Okay,
not
is that
disruptive.
annoying?
No, it's no.
Okay.
It's fine. It's fine.
All right.
All right.
Good. Because I can fix it, but it comes at a cost. So
we had enough costs for tonight. It's
yeah, it's fine for now.
And don't forget to use the
if
name an NPC tag where you can also spend your channel points on to cause it much ruckus for the naming convention for Marcus.
Exactly. There's still a list that I can work through, but if you have any other suggestions, spend your points on suggesting new names for NPCs. All right then. With that being said, let's do a quick little intro before we get started. See you in a few seconds, moments. And we should be back. All right. I think we need a little bit of music for this. Well, the year is 998 YK. After the day of mourning, the warring nations of Corvair have signed the Treaty of Thronehold to put aside their differences. Since then, a tenuous truth hangs over the continent as new powers struggle to find their places in a world changed by war and a mysterious cataclysm. We, however, find ourselves in Sharn, in the City of Towers, in the nation of Breland. 4 daring individuals have recently joined the Clifftop Adventurers Guild. After a dangerous initiation rite, in which they bested members of a rival guild, our protagonists are given their first mission. In the depths of Sharn, in the forge-lit streets of the Cogs, they are to retrieve an item crafted by Halla's Drummond. It sounds like a simple task, but in Sharn, nothing is ever what it seems. What will await our adventurers, and what shadows from their past might loom over their first mission? We will soon find out. Sharn is a gigantic city. Layers on top of layers, stacked high into the heavens. Living in Sharn is a very vertical thing, and the higher up you are, the wealthier you usually are. But of course, 'tis not only the wealthy that live here. In the depth, lower levels, everyone ekes out their own life. And the 4 heroes that this adventure will focus on have decided to take on a life of adventure. You have been initiated into the Clifftop Adventurers Guild, in which you showed your bravery by just leaping off the edges of Sharn, using trickery, guile, and wit to beat your rivals of the Deathgate Adventurers Guild. And afterwards, celebrated with a little drink in the tavern and receiving your first mission by guild handler Lara. The 4 of you had some time to recover from your drinks in the evening, and you left the tavern in which you drank to head out to the nearest elevator that couldn't take you down into the Cogs. You find an elevator, which is just the right size for the 4 of you, and you see it is manned by a female goblin who already greets you, flashing a smile with dagger-sharp teeth, as she politely bows towards the 4 of you, pulls a lever, and the gates of the elevator go open. She ushers you in, and once you're all in, she follows you, pulls on the inside another lever, as the door closes again, and you can hear the rattling of gears and chains as you start your descent. 4 very different figures are in here. Let's start with you, Rain. Tell the audience, what do they see when they look at Rain?
Perfection. Grace. Attitude. Capability. Naturally. Rain is a female Triton. Tritons are a species, a race, that live in the seas. And in Eberron here, there's vast communities and kingdoms of Tritons. Gloriously militant, well-bred, trained, noble, and taking care of noble things like making sure that, the Krakens and the Leviathans don't get too out of hand, and everything is so ordered and perfect. Rain found it absolutely boring. Rain found that she didn't want to be hammered down, so she left for the surface to prove herself, to prove to her family that there might be something worth up here. And she sticks out like a sore thumb, being a Triton. She has aqua blue skin entirely. Instead of ears, she has these graceful fins, kind of up and high from out of her face. Her hair is this wild, tangled mess of what looks like almost seaweed. Her hair is sleek and tendril-like. She wears a very loose kind of toga kind of robe, very comfortably dressed, some very practical shorts on, very well fitted, and some fantastic kind of gladiator style boots. And she has on her forehead a tiara of gold with a diamond in the middle. And around her back she just bodice bundle of this giant golden greatsword on her back. And she just kind of looks back at her companions that she's known a day, if at best, taking stock of them.
Very well. Next to Rain, there's also an rather furry member of the party. Daithun, what do your party members see as you stand here with them in the elevator that's slowly going downwards?
Well, interestingly enough, most of them, I'm not sure on the height of the other characters, but Daithun is a very tall presence. This long black mane and a very very thin but strong looking face. Their entire body covered in chainmail and just like weapons on the back and backpacks and this like pristine gleaming armor that like it looks like it's never been worn, like it's some kind of ceremonial armor, even though it's definitely what Daithun's been wearing for the last like 2 years, more or less. He's a very reserved in certain social situations that he doesn't know his place in, but as soon as he feels a little bit more comfortable or feels like he has something to add, you can definitely tell he's going to make his point known.
Understood. Another mighty presence here in the group. Another member of the party that might not, well, but also draws attention in a specific way is Rebus. Rebus, what does the audience see as the lift continues its way down?
So in this elevator, and more or less the same height as the Leonin, but a much less muscular and intimidating build, kind of elegant and carved, is a Warforged. Rebus is a humanoid-looking Warforged. Their body is an unusual model and consists of metal and wood, like most Warforged do. Most of their outer plates, like the chest or the shoulders or the helmet that makes up the face, feature intricate filigrees in gold, and some other plates have clearly been remade in a functional yet more coarse fashion. So they're a bit of a mix and match of styles. Their faceplate consists of a single rounded plate or a panel made of a dark material similar to obsidian or dark glass, where two small glitching lights can be seen to represent the eyes. The glass is now covered with the remnant of thin cracks repaired with a golden metal, instead of being a smooth surface. Their helmet also displays two horn-like decorations, one of which is missing the upper half. And upon closer inspection, a thin seam can be seen throughout the entire outer plating following the intersection on the coronal plane, so kind of this situation, as well as down along the spine. Their poise is elegant, but somewhat relaxed, as opposed to the uptight soldier demeanor of most Warforged. So he's not as intimidating, even though he is like 1 meter 90 or 6 feet 2. Yeah.
Fascinating. And rounding out this illustrious party is one more member here. Delphine, how do you present yourself right now?
So you can see that standing there is a half-elf female-looking person. Quite outstanding in her attire, absolutely not fitting in this city with this. She wears slick black trousers and matching over-knee boots to this in leather. There is a belt made out of made like a scarf on her belly, and over it a leather belt with a lot of different small knickknacks, some it looks like small little treasures that she collected over the time. She has a blouse on top, which is kind of rather cut open in the middle and only kept together with underbust corset. She has a pauldron on her right shoulder, which keeps a jacket in place. And she wears some gloves on her hands. You can see there is a pistol on the side of her belt and a rapier. Matching to this, as you look into her face, you can definitely tell her skin is weathered by being out on the ocean for way too long time. And there is a scar going over her face. Her makeup looks a bit smudged under her eyes, as if she doesn't really care too much about it, but you can clearly see these deep blue ocean eyes that it seems like as if the waves are playing in there. Her hair is breast long, wavy, in a light blue color with some what's the name for this? With some smaller and thicker braids in it. On the top of her head, is a hat, which resembles like a captain's hat with some feathers going out there from the other side. There are also really, really nice ornaments on it. It looks like as if this was kind of more on the expensive side of things. So, and she's just standing there, looking over the world, the scenery, looking to the news member that hasn't joined them in the drinking night, and like observing kind of way.
Very nice. In the elevator in which the four of you are together with the female goblin, in the doors there are a few slits through which you can see, and you can see how you're passing by the various levels as you go down. There's enough room in the elevator for the four of you to not be bundled up too much. Just you can have some space in between you. And the goblin keeps close to the door, and once the elevator has been going, she's turned around towards you as you can hear the tick 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 of the chain and the gears. And she looks up, and she has a simple but good-looking outfit, and she looks up at you, still with flashing her smile with the sharp teeth, and she says, "Well, looks like you're on your way all the way down today. Is that so?"
Does this contraption move in any other direction?
Oh, can go up as well.
No, we need to go downwards.
Hmm. all the way down, correct? Cogs.
Can it go lower?
Well, I heard if you would go lower than the cogs, you'd be swimming in lava. And not sure what y'all are made of, but if I would end up in lava, I would be kind of done for.
Do not think that would be a very pleasant experience for any of us. So please, just do the cogs. Thank you.
The goblin looks up at Rebus. Yeah, sure. And she quickly glances at the four of you and then just turns around again. And you notice as you're further going down that the further down you go, the worse the light gets that shines in from the outside. At first, you got a few levels where you still caught some of the daylight. It's still fairly early in the morning as you start your day. But at one point, you're deep enough to only catch shadows and maybe a few rays of sunlight. And then eventually, the only light you get is from any kind of everlight lanterns that shine outside. And before you know it, the rattling of the gears and chains, a backdrop music at this point, the only light you have is very dim lighting inside of this elevator.
Rebus will get a hand into a side pockets of their backpack and take out his, what's the name of this thing? Ever bright lantern, which offers a fair bit of light.
Mm-hmm.
Just holds it to offer the group a point of reference. I have a question actually for the DM.
Yes.
Have we met Daithun before? Do we know? Because we knew he would be joining our party, but I don't know if we had a chance to say hello. So
I'd say Daithun would have joined you at this morning at the tavern, where you also stayed for the night. So maybe on the way here to the elevator, you would have some time to do some introductions, at least know each other's names. Unless there's also some like previous acquaintances you might have before you actually met up in this party. But you did meet with Daithun this morning as you set out to get to the elevator.
Daithun is going to hear in his voice, in his head, Rain's voice. And the voice is going to say, "She's absolutely fabulous, isn't she? The confidence, the stance. For your information, until she completely disavows me and my advances, let me have a shot. I mean, what say you?"
I assume Daithun can reply mentally as well.
Mm-hmm.
I think Daithun just looks at Rain and just goes, "Are you on about the goblin?" It's just very confused as to what Rain means by that.
Well, if that is what you fancy, I will encourage and applaud all your advances towards the goblin, but no, I meant Delphine.
This is still just like back and forth in the head, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, it's like, oh, sure, go for it.
I mean, who wouldn't want to? Look at, she's a magnificent creature.
I think Daithun just nods.
Rain sees the nod and she's like, "Excellent, tip top, very good. Close connection."
Rebus
Wow.
just turns to Delphine,
Yeah.
like confused.
I'm just shrugging. I don't know what's going on because there was this intense eyeing at each other between the two. And then I'm putting my arm around Rebus, which probably doesn't reach that high because he is fucking tall.
The waist is
Yeah, basically like that. So I bet you know where we need to go. I totally forgot, to be fair.
Well, I guess we best go out and ask for some directions then.
and Rebus will like start making their way out of the elevator, kind of
You're-
gently bowing to the
You're still
to the.
you're still
Goblin.
you're still in the elevator at this point. The
Oh, we're still going down.
Yeah, you're still going
Oh,
down
I
at this
think-
point. Yeah.
I thought we had arrived because
Yeah.
of the lights and stuff. Sorry.
I believe we're looking for a forge that's run by a Hallis Drummond.
Right, a forge.
I mean, surely in the pit of industry, surely a forge will be singular and quite easy to find.
I'm looking to dive in. You're from here?
It's. I don't go this far down that often.
But you have been here.
Maybe once or twice.
Look, he's our guide. He knows more than we do.
Excellent. The responsibility lands on your shoulders.
And as you say that, Rain, you suddenly hear this screeching of metal against stone as the elevator comes to an halt, like eeking. And the goblin looks up and says, "Ah, crap." Walks over to some of the levers and buttons on a side panel in the elevator, starts pulling a few of them, and you just hear like, ka-ting, ka-ting. What? One moment. Shriek. Shriek. And then the elevator rattles for a moment and continues on its way down. As you now also notice, Rebus, you said you put out the ever bright lantern that you have with you. I assume you also turned it on. Is that correct? Perfect.
Yes.
You have, which is great, because if it wasn't for your ever bright lantern, at this point, the only light you would be having would be these really dim light that is in these old, aged, ever bright lanterns that are built into the elevator. And these must have been like in here for dozens of years, and nobody has renewed the enchantment on them, because the light these lanterns give off here in the elevator is pale and almost a little bit cold. But fortunately, to your ever bright lantern, all of you can clearly see each other. And you can also then eventually see, as you go through an entire segment where through the slits in the elevator door, you can only see rock outside. You just go past that for a few minutes. And I also need all of you at this point to make first rolls of this campaign. I would like all of you to make a perception check, please.
Question. Normal perception check or with advantage or disadvantage regarding if we have dark vision or not?
This is more something that is this does not rely on your vision. This kind of
Okay,
perception, so it's a
okay.
straight perception roll.
Natural 20.
Woo! For a total of
Sorry, excuse me. Let me see. 20. What? 22,
22.
I think.
Good.
Yes, 22.
Right.
Total 17.
Natural 17, and that's your total.
Total 17.
All right, Daithun.
Total 17 as well.
17, Delphine.
8.
Wonderful.
I'm not interested in my surroundings.
You just look at your nails like, oh my god, this one broke again.
Yeah, exactly.
Rebus, you would be the first one to notice this. As the elevator goes further down, you notice that the temperature is rising. And whatever kind of enchantments or features your frame has, they all tell you that the temperature is rising to the degrees of a warm summer day as you go down. And Rain and Daithun, you also eventually pick it up that it gets warmer. That it almost feels as if there's a bit of a whiff of warm air coming up from down the elevator shaft. And Delphine, you might be too distracted by your fellow companions or any other circumstances, but you would be the last one to notice that the temperature is rising and it gets a little bit warmer. And at that point, the goblin lift attendant also pulls out like a handkerchief out of her pocket, and she cleans off a bit of sweat from her forehead and says, well, sometimes it seems like it gets warmer every time you get down here. We're almost there, but you might want to, take off a jacket, and she looks over at Daithun. I assume you cannot take that off, as she points to Daithun. But it can be very cozy and warm down in the Cogs.
Rebus will turn to the goblin lady. Say,
excuse me, miss, but isn't any kind of enchantment against high temperatures necessary to be in the Cogs district?
Oh, sure, there's probably some places where it would be necessary, but it's not like anyone really cares that much. It's expensive to put those enchantments, and let's just say the Cogs are not the best neighborhood to be.
Well, I was not talking about personal enchantment. Do you think we'll be okay, or should we go back up to prepare better?
Oh no, don't worry about that. You might just want to, make sure that you dot off your sweat, and sometimes take a break for a drink. No worries. Not many die of heat stroke in the Cogs.
Rebus will look at Rain and her, Triton complexion, and immediately worry that maybe we should have brought more water with us.
Little one, if I may, what are the state of things down there in these Cogs?
Well, they are the cheapest place of labor in the city, and also the place where some of the largest forges reside. House Kenneth actually has one of their main forges down here. And usually when any kind of shipments of ores are brought in on the higher levels, they get shipped down here for further refinement. And, well, it's dark, it's dirty, and honestly, I really don't want to know what your business is going down there. I mean, of course, maybe you do have business with the forges there, but that's not my question. I'm just a humble lift attendant.
Interesting. That is quite telling that you're not suggesting.
Then it's good that you're not that interested in it.
Well, I mean, if the guests here on the elevator have questions, I, of course, answer them to the best of my knowledge, but in the end, well, I'm just gonna do my job here. Was there anything else I could do for you, Miss, and she looks at Rain?
Rain is my name, and you are?
Shalila.
Shalila. If you would continue doing your job and ensure that this elevator descends in a smooth manner, that would be most appreciative.
Well, now that you mention it, and she raises one of her slender fingers, and then the elevator comes to a stop. We arrived at our destination. And she pulls down another lever so that the gates of the elevator opens, and rolling in is this blast of hot air. And it stings in your eyes. You can already feel a layer of sweat on your skin, if you do have skin. And you already hear echoing...
No skin here.
You hear echoing through the streets ahead of you the sound of hammers on anvils. You hear the roaring of flame. You smell fire, ash, and everything has this sheen of soot on it. As you also see people mingling. This is completely subterranean. You are underground. There is no daylight here. If you wouldn't know that you started your ride down during the morning, you would have no clue what time of day it is, as Shalila ushers you out of the elevator. All right, have fun in the Cogs. And she immediately, once everyone is out, she darts back into the elevator, shuts the door, and you can hear the elevator rattling as it goes back up.
Oh, no wonder that Lara doesn't want to go down here.
How?
Right. Should we get along with the journey?
Rain is going to kind of...
Will actually this time go out.
Rain will step out of the elevator and she's just going to lift her hands like this. And could I use shape water to just pull the droplets off me, just kind of make them dance before I swat them aside?
So you basically want to pull off the droplets of sweat to instead of a handkerchief, you use shape water to pull that off.
Yep.
Sure. Yeah.
Can I use gust as kind of a fan or ventilator kind of while I'm basically doing this?
While Rain is using her water shaping abilities to pull off the sweat, Delphine, you summon up a breeze as a magical replacement for a fan as you wave yourself some fresh air. It's a bit of relief. It's still warm here, but it helps a little bit.
I think Dython is just gonna look between the two of them and just shake his head and start walking forward.
Does the rest follow?
Yep.
All right. You make your way down the alley because this elevator basically came down in an alley of the Cogs. And once you're out of the alley, you land in the hustle and bustle of the Cogs. You see most of the lighting down here comes either from other ever-bright lanterns that are tuned to this red-orange color, or actually just from the fires of the many, many forges down here. And you see, as you get out of the alley, you basically move into this throng of people. All kinds of people are down here. Most of the people in Sharn, the majority is either human, dwarvish, or elvish. But especially since the Treaty of Thronehold and since the recognition of the nations, among them the monstrous nation of Drummond, more and more of the more exotic or wilder species have also found their way to Sharn. And as you make your way through this street, past forges and markets and merchants, you see walking by you is this tall ogre who just has a crate on his shoulder as he's whistling a tune to himself. You see at one of the stalls that you walk by, you see a bugbear who has these colorful braids in his fur as he's very loudly arguing about the prices for his goods with a trio of kobolds that have climbed up on his shelves. And they have this very excited chat about what his trinkets should actually cost. You also see, coming out of the various forges, you see the workers. You sometimes hear this high-pitched whistle being pulled, and you see that one shift leaves the forge, and a new one enters a forge. And the workers leaving, they're covered in sweat and soot and grime. All of you know that you need to find the forge of Halla's Drummond, the person who would craft the object that guild handler Lara wants you to get. How would you go about finding his forge down here?
I think since the group kind of somehow decided to just follow Dythun and assume Dythun knows his way around here, as soon as we make it into that thoroughfare, he's gonna find a merchant somewhere. One that's not like currently in an argument with somebody else, which I don't know how easy that will be.
One who's not flooded with kobolds right now.
Yeah, exactly. And just kind of approach a shopkeep of some kind and just say, greetings. It's been a while since I've been down here. Would you happen to know where the forge of Hallis Drummond is? If I'm saying that right.
You basically just look at one of the shopkeepers to approach, and you see in one of the stalls, you see this taller figure. Currently, it's back towards you, and you approach the figure, and as you say, excuse me, the figure turns around, and you see this bull's head of a minotaur turning towards you, these large horns, and on these horns are these gold and silver rings on it. And he lumbers forward, leans down, looks at you. Drummond? You're looking for Drummond?
Yes, we are.
Well, he's pretty easy to find right now. Just go down the road and follow the striking Warforged. You'll find him soon enough.
Well, thank you very much for the information. Have a wonderful day.
You too. And he turns back around. You see that he actually has like this stall of... He seems to be in the business of selling coal. So he actually has like these bags of coal and everything in his shop. And he goes back to like probably preparing a shipment for one of his customers.
Nice. Dythun will just turn to the rest of everyone, like, well, you heard the Minotaur? That way. Ooh, stop
You
on my
said
dice.
something about striking Warforged. What is it they are striking? Their anvils? Are they striking metal to be shaped into something else?
Oh, wait. I think I saw some kind of newspaper up there, some line of Warforged workers, but I didn't really read through it as we passed by.
Well, I think the easiest answer would be... Oh, go ahead.
Sorry. I believe, Rain, you're confusing the two words. This striking means stopping work to demand some kind of change in the working conditions, usually.
Would they do that?
Everyone has their reasons. I guess we might find out if we find them.
Lead on.
Austin, go ahead. I'm sorry I cut you before.
No, it's okay. Dyphid was basically just going to say, well, I guess we'll find out when we get there.
All right. Following the instructions of the Minotaur, you walk down the street, and once you take a corner, you can slowly hear over the sounds of industry, you hear chanting. Someone like rhythmically chanting some kind of, well, chant. And you hear drums supporting those chants. And you turn one more corner and you see in a small road leading away from the road that you're on, you see in this back alley square is a relatively small, in comparison to the other forges, smaller blacksmith or forge. And you see over its door, which is currently closed, you see in very fancy font, it says Drummond Independent. And it would probably maybe one of the first things you see if it wasn't for about these dozen Warforged in front of the forge, many of them holding up signs that they made themselves. And you can hear some of them in similar kind of voices like Rebus, but with a different timbre to them, or maybe a bit of a different frequency. You can hear them say things like, fair pay for fair work. We're not tools, we're people. And all kinds of chants along that. And as you come onto the square, like a little bit away from this group of about a dozen Warforged, you see that the door of the forge briefly opens, and a man with like gray-black hair and very bushy eyebrows leans out of the door. And he just quickly leans out, looks out, still sees that there's a crowd in front of the door, and then darts back in, closes the door, and you just hear the Warforged like, come on, Drummond! Keep up with the times!
Satisfactory. It seems to be our person.
We'll go towards one of the Warforged that looks the most approachable, like not in the middle of the group, just ask, excuse me, good sir, is this the establishment of Halles Drummond? We're looking for him.
You come to one of the Warforged that is kind of a bit on the back of the group, and that Warforged is basically just like you, Rebus, like mostly wood and metal. And you can see in like their metal platings, there's like a few dents and actually kind of burn marks on them. And they turn towards you, and you see them like nod in approval towards you. And they say, Drummond is in there, all right. But we kind of keep him occupied right now.
Well, that's very unfortunate. We're here to pick up an item for someone else. Do you think we'll be able to get through and meet him? Or would that not be possible at all today?
That really depends on how Drummond will... Well, it really depends on what Drummond will do. We haven't heard any responses from him to our demands. At least, we haven't heard from Stoke yet. And the Warforged you're talking to points to the front of the crowd. And you see this tall Warforged there, a very broad-shouldered build, and that Warforged is standing at the front and is now currently like banging on the door of the forge. Delphine.
Okay, there's probably a crowd in front of the shop right now. Can I make make, like, separating a bit from the group, can I make, like, a way around the crowd, around the shop? Can I see if there's a back door to it? Or, like, a window or something?
So you want to, like, separate a bit from the group and then go around the group of
Yeah,
Warforged?
just casually go around looking up the building, how it looks like, if there's a window.
Anyone who would like to, if you're just casually walking there, Delphine, I'm assuming that you're not trying to do this too stealthily, so other party members...
No. I'm as if I'm interested watcher.
Yeah.
Just passing by, looking.
Any other party members who might want to follow Delphine on that?
I mean, why should they have their business? Why should it impede on my business? We need to go talk to him. Delphine, you look like you're moving in the right direction. I shall join you.
Oh, I'm just looking for something.
Rebus, sorry, Dythun.
I think Dythune's gonna stick with Rebus if they're not following around back.
Yeah.
Just so somebody's with somebody.
Yeah. So Rain and Delphine are just casually walking off, just looking for an entrance, and Rebus, the leader of the protest, has just been pointed out to you. This large Warforged at the front of the group, with broad shoulders, as he's currently banging on the front door. Dythun is also with you. What would you like to do, Rebus?
Well, Rebus will turn to Dythun and back to the other Warforged and say, it looks like the only way to expedite a little bit more our current situation is to help with whatever issue they're having. So is there any way that we could help you? To the Warforged.
The Warforged that you're talking to just directs you to Stoke, the Warforged in the front, that makes it clear that he's the leader of this strike. And if anyone knows how you could help, he could tell you.
We'll go.
Right. As you go over to Stoke, like making your way through the crowd of the striking Warforged, Delphine and Rain, you casually saunter around, and Delphine, as you're looking for different entrants, give me a perception or investigation check. And Rain, if you're proficient in whatever Delphine is using, you can help her on that.
I'll just look good. But Rain is kind of also asking Delphine to keep an eye out for a window or something.
Yeah.
To see inside.
Yeah, like this, like inspect this a little bit, and if you see anything there, because my investigation is not that good actually.
I don't have proficiency. I'm just good looking.
You can use either investigation or perception, your choice.
Yeah, I might go for perception.
I'm just good looking.
I've got a 15.
15. Well, while Rain is good looking and Delphine is good looking around, you eventually spot on the side of the building, there's a little alley next to it where there's some crates and containers that are kept there. And that also has a door on the side. A little bit of a door with a little bit of glass set in it. And on the glass, it says employee entrance.
I'm nudging Rain like...
You can actually hear from the other side of the door. You can hear through that. The door is not that thick. The wood is not that thick, and there's a bit of glass panel in there. You can hear from the other side of the door, you can hear a female voice saying, Mr. Drummond, I would really like to employ you again to listen to the demands of my colleagues. And then you hear a male voice, Colleagues? Do you think your hammer is your colleague? Do you think your anvil is your colleague? This is outrageous. I'll be in my office. Just tell me when they stop this tomfoolery. And then you hear like a door slamming on the inside, and you can hear the female voice. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear.
Oh boy.
Is there a knob?
I'm torn between.
Is there a knob?
There is a knob, yeah, on the door.
Yeah. I'm torn between knocking and kicking the door open.
Rain is going to knock and turn and pull the door at the same time.
All right. You knock, Rain.
Like one hand knock, the other hand turn and pull.
And as you knock, like there's for a brief moment, the female voice tries to say, "We're closed," and then she hears that you're pulling on it. And, the door's locked. We're closed for business right now. We're having a little bit of a, situation.
Yeah, we're here for business, actually.
Oh, yes. I think Mr. Drummond is currently, indisposed. Calm
Oh
down.
no, he's not indisposed. I have heard him talking.
Oh. He's taking his lunch break?
Delphine, darling.
This is not
Would
my
you do the
department.
honors or shall I?
I'm thinking right now, how late is it for lunch break? So I'll probably go out.
It's way too early for lunch break.
Would you like to do the honors or shall I?
Please do.
The window.
Yeah.
Can I kind of see through it? Is it like, could I see like this little figure in it?
It's like this kind of milky glass, so you can't really clearly see through it. If you look through it, you like see a little bit of a vague figure through it. You can't clearly see the person on the other side.
Is there a lock? Can I see through the lock? Keyhole?
You could try to look through the keyhole, and as you peep through it, you like catch a little bit of a smaller person sitting behind a desk. But that's all you can really see through the keyhole.
Misty step.
You misty step through?
Yep, marked off.
So, to Delphine, what you see is suddenly vanishing next to you. Rain just vanishes, and Rain, you materialize on the other side of the door, and once you materialize, you just hear, and you see...
And in their head, open the door.
You look at this gnome woman, black hair, very bubbly face, a little bit red flushed cheeks. She has a very nice shirt on, but over the shirt she has a tool belt and a leather apron and everything. And you say that to her like... She gets up from her chair, takes a key out, and as she goes over to the door and she puts the lock in and unlocks the door, we swoop quickly over to Rebus and Dythun. Rebus, you walked over to Stoke, who, as you approach, he just stops banging on the door. And as he sees you approach, he turns around. Oh! A fellow Warforged has joined our strive. Have you come to support our struggle?
Well, I'm afraid to say, sir, that I still have not been briefed on what the struggle exactly is, but I need to see Mr. Drummond, so if this will make our way to him a bit quicker and a bit easier to obtain, then yes, I will happily help to get this whole thing sorted out.
Oh, I pity you that you have business with Mr. Drummond, a man of his...
It's not my own. We're here, sent by somebody else.
I see. Well, if there's any kind of business that you want to be conducting with him, I'm afraid he's not letting anyone in until we, and he gestures over at the other Warforged, we leave. Because Mr. Drummond is a little bit, and he turns towards the door at this point, a little bit scared of his tools that he doesn't want to pay properly. I'm sorry.
Oh, so this is a dispute about compensation?
You have quite a vocabulary. But indeed, it is a dispute about compensation. We have worked.
In my good days.
We have worked hard. Brought much fortune to Hellas Drummond. But then we heard, he always told us that it was common in the Cogs to do this work for minimum compensation. But then we heard that the smith and the forge workers and everyone involved in the forges of House Cannith, even the Warforged, are paid fair and square. So I, Stoke, went up to Drummond and I said, Hellas, it is done. We want payment. And Drummond, that little worm that he is, furrowed his eyebrows, looked at me and said, Payment? I'm not paying the tools. And then I said, well, then your tools will walk. And so we walked. And now he is in there, hiding in his little office. And, poor Tresca, she is caught in between of all this. All we want is compensation for our work.
That seems quite reasonable. I actually agree with your terms. Have you tried maybe forcing it, not with a violent act or with an intimidation, but maybe simply not working for him? If you do not work, then he will have to either hire somebody else or finally give in to your demands. And yes, if one of you were to stop working, he could hire somebody else. But if it's all of you at once, he would be in trouble. So, and maybe since we have to talk to him, I could perhaps try my best to convince him of adjusting your salary. Otherwise, would it be possible to go work for House Cannith?
If it were that easy to just find employment with House Cannith, we would have already went there, of course. The thing is, me and my crew, we enjoy our work. We enjoy creating instead of destroying. You must know how it must be to find a place in this world. And we honestly enjoy the work we do, but we also want to be treated equally to it. Your suggestion of just not working has crossed my mind. Maybe we should let him stir for a little while.
Well, it certainly wouldn't be a permanent solution. Hopefully you would only have to do this for a few days, maybe a few weeks, and eventually he will have to yield to your demands. But I do not know, I do not have enough insight into his economic situation right now and how fast the deliveries must be done, so you probably know better than I do.
If you're willing to try and talk with him, I would trust a fellow Warforged to do so. I am very humbled by your approach here and immediately thinking about helping us.
Well, certainly. I mean, I'm sure I'll have to hear Mr. Drummond's part of the story just to have a bit more data to play with, but from what I've heard, it seems quite reasonable. So yes, don't worry, I'll try my best.
Well, Rebus, could you give me a persuasion check with advantage, please?
It is a 14.
A 14. Stoke postures himself up, puts his hands on his hip to look even a bit more broader with his broad frame. And he puts one hand to his metal chin and says, "Yes, we'll be over at the Troll's Nose Inn. We'll leave Hallas for now. If you want to, come see my crew there later. I think we might have marvelous conversations. What is your name?"
Oh, Rebus. Apologies.
Rebus? Do you... Where were you deployed?
I'm afraid I have been out of commission for a while and cannot recall if I have taken part in the war at all. Again, sorry about that. I became operational about 3 months ago.
Don't apologize, Rebus. This sounds like something that was not your fault. We'll see you in the Troll's Nose if you have the time. And once again, and he puts one of his massive metal hands on your shoulder, thank you. You are an ally to our cause.
You're very welcome. I'm glad to be of service. And that sounds delightful. I will certainly go over later if I have the time. Thanks for the invitation. Now, let's see if we can get Mr. Drummond. And I look at Typhoon, just expectantly.
Are the rest of them like clearing out now?
Yeah, Stoke turns over to the other Warforged and he goes like, "We'll let Drummond stir for now. Over to the Troll's Nose. We have some planning to do." And you still hear them chanting. There was one of the Warforged who was making the drum sounds, is like picking up his pace on the drums that he's carrying, and the Warforged move out of the square, and just a few moments later, it's the two of you at the front door.
Rebus, I have to say that is some fine diplomatic work. You did well.
Wait, thank you, Mr. Typhoon. That's really nice to hear.
Yes. Now, let's do the opposite of that and see if we can break the store down, yes?
Yes.
And then Typhon just walks over and just starts
I will help.
kicking the door.
You got the two of you together are gonna try to butt through the door?
Yep.
Can you both give me athletics checks, please? Delphine.
I wanted to do something. I'm waiting on this.
Yeah, we're going to, once after the check, we're going to cut back over to Rain and Delphine to
Okay.
just need to quickly know what the check is going to be.
22.
22?
Natural 1.
Natural 1. All right. So, while Dythun and Rebus were busy at the front door, Rain, you politely asked the gnome woman to open the door, and she got off of her chair, pulled out her keys, unlocked the door, and opened it. So, Delphine, the door's open. And she looks at the two of you. I am so terribly sorry, but currently is a very bad time for business. Mr. Drummond has other more urgent matters to take care of, and it's just a really bad time.
It's always a bad time.
It's nothing personal against you. I can appreciate your intent to gatekeep, so to say, but his concerns and his other priorities don't matter to us. We're going to go talk to him now. Excuse us.
I'm going to the other side of the shop because probably it's clear. Like, there was.
Yeah, but here the inside, most of it is an open area, and basically there's a little bit where you came in. There was a little bit of desk where the gnome woman was working at. But immediately from the desk, you can look at the forge in there, and currently the forge is dormant. There's only a few embers in there. It's not active. You can see all kinds of forging and blacksmithing supplies around here. Leading up, after a little staircase, there's like this elevated area with a little office that looks out over this working area. And you can see that this office has a few windows in it. And you can see on the other side of the windows, you can see Hollis Drummond pacing up and down through his office. But you can't hear him, but you can see him pacing up and down.
Yeah, I just wanted to go to the front door because I knew that the others are still outside.
You go over to the front door?
Yeah, and then basically seeing if it's closed.
You move over to the front door, and you already, while Rain is dealing with the gnome.
I'm gonna, if I hear the pacing, I'm just going to start moving in the direction of this upstairs office.
Perfect. So Rain goes there. Delphine, you go over to the front door, and as you approach, Dythun, it was a 22 on your check, right?
Yep.
All right, and the 1 on Rebus. And what was the total of that, Rebus? Do you add anything from athletics?
Yes, but if it's a natural 1, I do.
On
That'll
skill
check.
checks, and skill checks, that doesn't mean automatic failure.
It would be a 6.
A 6. Well, so Delphine, you walk over to the front door, and as you approach, you suddenly see the door budging towards you, and afterwards there's another bump from the outside against the door, and just before you reach the door, it breaches open, and with a shoulder check, Dythun enters the room as the door opens.
Oh, you're already inside. Wonderful.
Yeah, and you let yourself inside. So, well.
As Dythun steps in, you can hear from the back, you can hear the gnome. I'm terribly sorry, but we're really closed for business right now.
Don't worry. We'll figure it out.
Did Stoke let you walk by?
Well,
We had a lovely conversation with Stoke. Actually, I'll have to talk to Mr. Drummond about that later. But first, we have another business. Also,
But you
Dythun.
you can't go and she, like, at one point while Rebus is talking, she notices just then that Rain is already like halfway up the stairs to his office, and she goes, and as she groans in frustration, we're gonna take a short break at this point before we continue for the last bit of this session. So let's take a short little, let's say, 10-minute break, and in 10 minutes we'll be back. So hang on there and chat, have some fun, and we'll see you in 10 minutes. The audio back on, and we are live. Hello and welcome back, everyone.
Is it working?
It sounds like it's working. If chat can let us know if they can hear us all loud and clear, I have a good feeling about it. And we're all working. And Izzy, thank you very much. First of all, also, thanks to everyone else who has gifted subs, who has subscribed, and who is just hanging out in chat and watching along. Thank you very much for the contributions. If you can't get enough of us and you also want to hang out in a little bit of chatting on Discord, you can join our Discord. If I'm not mistaken, underneath the stream, there's all the links to our Discord, to our socials like Twitter, where you can also follow us on Twitter to keep updated. And otherwise, for now, please don't leave yet. We still have some session to go. Unfortunately, Austin had to go for now, but he will be back next week. So don't worry, we'll get more of this strong Leonin he's playing. But for now, we're going to continue because we left off in Hellas Drummond's forge, where our adventurers, some of them coming in through the employee entrance after politely asking for the door to be unlocked, others just shoulder bashing through the front door. You're here in the forge. Rain, you are already on your way up the stairs to the office of Hellas Drummond, and as you go up the stairs, you can see him pacing behind the glass of his office, and through the glass you can hear like muffled mumbling. And you're at the door as your companions downstairs are still gathering. What would you like to do, Rain?
Simul knock and Simul turn knob pull open.
It is very locked, and as you knock, you see through the glass, you see Drummond like, look up, and he just does this shooing gesture towards you.
Hellas Drummond, we have been sent here by Lara of the Adventurers Guild. We have some business to discuss with you. You will open this door now. We will have a polite conversation about what you owe.
Make an intimidation check, Rain. And while you do that, what is the rest? What Rebus, Delphine, what are you doing?
Did we hear this?
Yeah,
Did you speak rather loud or?
I had to go through the door.
Yeah.
So rather loud.
Yeah.
So I'm just shouting upwards like, I don't think it will be polite.
Rolling. Total 13.
13. All right. You see through the glass panes, you see Drummond. It's like his frown has turned into a expression, and he moves over to the door, unlocks it, and just opens it a little bit.
Is the glass see-through?
Yeah.
Telepathically linked to him. Wider now.
And he looks in surprise at you. Opens it far enough for someone to step in.
I go into the threshold and make sure my foot is like blocking the door from moving, and I turn around. Come, companions, our discussion time has arrived.
Do you see the rest of you?
I usher Rebus forward upwards the stairs like, come on.
I actually turn back to Delphine and say, I believe it would be more effective if you, Miss Delphine or Rain, talk to Mr. Drummond. He does not seem very fond of Warforged.
That's why you should go in there.
I am going.
I maintain this very overly plastered, sarcastic, but polite smile on my face, because he was indignant to not open the door for me.
All right. So as you do that, Rain, you're the first to enter into the office, and coming up the stairs are then also Rebus and Delphine coming up the staircase, and you see Drummond as he sees Rebus walking in. He has a bit of a look of confusion on his face. You get the feeling that he's trying to think which of the Warforged that works for him you are, but he can't place you. So he's just pondering silently. And he also sees then Delphine. He sees you coming up, and he's just, his frown returns to his face. He like looks at you, looks you up and down, and then like does a very polite smile and a bit of a curtsy as all of you are in his office. And once everyone is in, he just smashes the door behind you. Laura sent you?
Yes. We're here to pick up a particular commission. Give it now.
Why don't you have a seat? We haven't had proper introductions yet.
I can receive it while sitting down or standing up. It is of no consequence to me.
He moves behind his desk and he sits down in this old squeaky chair behind an old squeaky desk, which is covered in letters and stamps. And he says, it's the burning idol that she commissioned, correct?
Yes, yes.
Yes, well, we need a little bit more time to...
Oh, she said that you will need more time. Isn't this funny?
Oh, well, she knows me too well. She's, her and I, we go way back. We're old friends, you could say.
Yeah, good that she sent us for this job.
Oh. So... I could try to have it done by next week.
It'll be rather cramped staying here a week in these quarters, won't you say?
You want to stay here for a week?
Well, Lara also asked that we obtain from you how to put it succinctly, a satisfactory answer for the delay that has been caused.
It sounds almost like a threat to me.
Is there a
Oh,
satisfactory reason?
Of course not. Why would there be reason for threats between friends? Yes, yeah, yes, friends.
Then the commission for your friend is completed. Where is it?
He picks up on his desk. There's this little kind of orange pebble, and he like rubs it with his thumb, and then he speaks into it. Tresca, could you come up? And he puts it back down, and you can hear on the outside, you can hear small footsteps coming up the staircase, and the door opens, and the little gnome that you saw on the desk walks in. Oh, hello.
Hello.
Yes, Mr. Drummond, I did my best to keep them inside, but I have to say, they were very, very intent on getting in here. Tresca, that's not what I want to talk about. Could you explain to them why the commission for Guild Handler Lara isn't finished yet? And you see the gnome there. Oh. Well, that takes a bit of elaboration. But I assume you want a short version of it.
I also wish to know, well, perhaps this is the thing that managers above on the land do, is they delegate tasks. And if you, Mr. Herman, are responsible, why you delegate the task of explaining. But yes, give us the concise reason, please.
And while you say that, Rain, you see that Daithun, he like circles the room a bit and he just leans against the wall of one room, crosses his arms in front of his chest, and just stares at Halas. And Halas is there. And he's about to start to explain, but Tresca, the gnome female, already starts. The idol itself, in its material form, is done, but Lara wanted elemental binding done to it. Her express commission was to bind a part of Fernia into it.
Okay.
that is the part where I come in, which is my responsibility. I am a trained elemental binder, though I'm still a bit of an apprentice in a way. But I'm glad to gather experience. But the elemental binding process requires many, many hands, which, until recently, were supplied by Stoke and his crew. But there was a disagreement? And you see Drummond like, disagreement. He just mumbles to himself. So, I can't finish the binding by myself. I need some capable hands to help me.
Yeah, too bad that they are gone. What you doing now? I mean, we are staying here as long as this thing is not done.
What do you want me to do? Let's Stoke and his crew come in here one day, and suddenly they demand to be paid for their work.
Nathan.
I mean, fair reason.
Have you ever worked with Warforged? And before he finishes the sentence, he like realizes again that there is a Warforged in the room, and he goes, "It's not just that simple. There are labor agreements. Yes, labor agreements. And the labor agreements only cover the people that signed these. And the Warforged are not covered in those agreements. By the very law, I do not have to pay them."
So find someone else who will do it. If you seem so keen on maintaining these sort of agreements, enter into agreement with someone else who will finish this commission quickly.
While all of you are here in the room, could all of you also give me a perception check, please? Because there might be something that, especially now that you're looking at his desk where he's seated, that there's something that you might spot there.
Total 19.
19?
18.
18?
12.
12. Okay. So, as you look at Hallis, you do also gaze over his desk, and Reina and Delphine, both of you would spot this, that somewhere in between the papers and letters that he has there, you see that there's quite a few there that have a mark on them at the top of the letter. And it's basically this metal-faced bull-like creature on a shield symbol. And Rain, for you, it looks, what sticks out for you is that this symbol is visible on multiple letters. But Delphine, you especially, considering your background, you recognize the sign of another dragon-marked house. And you see that these are all letters with the mark of the mark of House Kenneth on there, who usually have a hold on the heavy industry, and who you know also have a hold on any kind of forging industry in Sharn.
So, how do you think you're solving this problem?
I have contacts who could maybe supply me with new forge workers. There's always people looking for work. Rebus?
Rebus will approach and gently get in the conversation because, they've been a bit behind. So I will approach to Mr. Hallis and say, my apologies, Mr. Drummond. If I might interject for a moment, I feel like there's a very simple and very quick solution to this problem. You should probably listen to what your workers, who do all of these things for you, for your business to stay afloat, want to say, and for the conditions that they probably deserve. And then we could just get on with our business without more trouble.
I am a businessman, all right? I make sure this business runs and that it runs profitable. There is a lot of competition going on, and I'm doing everything to keep this business afloat. And all the money I make...
You will
You're not
surely
making any money
understand.
now.
You will surely understand it makes no sense to lose all of your workers and have them go to benefit other businesses with their very fine skills just because you are being stubborn about being unfair for their conditions. Every worker should be paid for their work and for their effort and for their knowledge and for their skill. And if the law that you referred to before, which I am not familiar with, doesn't cover this yet, your workers are very well capable of just demanding it. Because if nobody will work for that amount, then you will simply not have any workers to work for you.
Rain, was there something you wanted to say as well?
Well, more snarkily to Delphine as Rebus is given this explanation. But they're not. But he's not actually producing anything. His business is failing. Are such managerial types really so full of themselves here?
While Rebus is talking to him, I would like to get like a peek on what is written on the letters. While I'm basically to Rain.
As you listen to Rain, as she makes a remark about the managerial style of Hallis, you see that Hallis is very focused on Rebus, who is giving him a well-deserved explanation of what he should do. And that gives you all the time to like at least glance at the text that you can see on the letters. And you gather that these are reminders that Drummond Independent has still not applied for a business recertification. And if they do not apply within a certain time frame and pay the right amount of money, that could have consequences for their business. And you understand, especially with your background from the great houses, that basically if they don't do what House Cannith asked them to do in these letters, they could be ousted as a business. They could just be kicked out here.
Okay, go on.
As you read that, Rebus, Hallis is focused on you at first, and he really looks at you, and at first when you started talking to him, he had a bit of this attitude, of this high and mighty attitude, like, what are you trying to say? But he's looking at you, and his frown gets deeper and deeper, and he looks past you and looks at Tresca, the gnome that's in there. And Tresca then says, and she's saying this more to you, Rebus, than to Hallis. Well, these are very much the words that I have suggested and said to Mr. Drummond as well, but I am glad to also hear them voiced from outsiders. That is good to hear.
Yes, I would like to clarify. I am in no way attached to your business, sir. I am just here with my companions to pick up this valuable object that was commissioned of you and that you were late to provide. And turning to the gnome lady, I apologize profusely for our interruption. I know this must have been very stressful for you, and I am very sorry. We're just in a tight schedule.
Drummond, I have feared that you might have soon some problems with House Cannith.
Who told you?
Oh, I have my contacts.
House Cannith doesn't... I have applied properly to recertification 3 years ago, and I have done it. It is complete nonsense that this has to be done on an annual basis. It's draining fair business people of their money. And I told the representative of House Cannith in these words. And yet they still sent me these messages. It's... All right, fine. As you might have gathered, I have a few issues going on at this point, and as I said, I have a few issues going on at this moment, and the fact that Guild Handler Lara wants the burning idol done now adds to the complications.
Oh, I actually see a solution to this problem. It's pretty fair and easy. You wouldn't believe it.
I would like to give these Warforged money, but
At this point, Rain is going to open up her chest and pull out the sealed banknote that has the seal of House Kundarik on it. Dreska, you said your name was. It's such a shame that this contract was not entered with you, because it seems that you are capable, you understand how to run a business, and how to actually complete the commissions that are asked of you. Whatever is in here could have been yours. Instead, it's going to this fledgling entrepreneur.
You have the envelope in your hands, right?
Yes.
And are you kind of also, you're showing the seal that's on it? Can you give me a persuasion check with advantage, please?
Totally. Oof. The total is 14.
14. All right.
Yes.
You show the envelope. You see Treska looking at it, and at the same time you hear Drummond go, Lara already sent payment.
Oh, is that what this is? I fold the corner of it. Start creasing it.
Oh, no. Could you just put it on my desk?
Oh.
And Treska then says, or I'm the assistant to the manager. You could hand it to me.
Oh.
We will very clearly
no
instructed.
Rebus?
Essentially, what Delphine just very eloquently said. No item, no payment. I will turn to Delphine, just kind of lean in and say, with your knowledge of the houses, like in no intention of like not being heard, just like out loud, with your knowledge of the houses and seeing how all of them have to be under the direction of House Kenneth, and how most of other forges and factories down here seem to be under their leadership. Do you think they might have any issue with replacing management on this particular forge as long as it is given to them with a full workforce, with an average pay, and very skilled and already trained workers?
Well, I don't see a problem in this case. I mean, giving it to another manager who probably runs it better than the one before might be more profitable in the end.
Wait. What are you discussing here?
Well, probably, since they're missing payment because you haven't been keeping up with their demands, they might want something in return. And your shop and the Warforged that work in it seemed like a fair wager.
You cannot offer that to a house. And before he can finish the sentence, Treska interrupts him and says, Mr. Drummond, with all due respect, House Kenneth is not our only problem, and we need to think of the longer time frame. And she her eyes keep darting back between Drummond and the envelope that Rain is holding. And
As you can see, it's like right there.
And Drummond says, I've had it. No, I will not discuss giving up my shop in my own shop. I want, you know what?
I've never been an investor. I've never been a stakeholder. Are we about to have our own shop?
You can.
Of course, we'll sell it away immediately. I mean, how bothersome.
I expel you from these premises right now. I do no longer want to confer with you. Tresca, see them out.
I will actually move in between Drummond and Rain and Dauphine. Just not menacing, just very immovable, like, you know, a almost 2 meter tall Warforged is.
He just looks at you and he's like, you see him like his hands are shaking, his entire, he slinks back in his chair a little bit as you approach, and you then hear Tresca say, dear guests, I think we should, if Mr. Drummond no longer wants to host this conversation, I know a place where we can continue our conversation about this. And then you hear Drummond say, Tresca, you're working for me. And then she says, I work where I can do my work, Mr. Drummond. And right now, you're not really allowing me to work here. Little, just out with a lot of you, out!
Rebus, I will turn to Daithun, who I assume is still like looming on the wall. Just make a slight bow, kind of like an agreement, and look at the gnome lady and say, that should be satisfactory. And I will move out of my way and start leading the way downstairs, I assume.
Yep.
Just...
And Tresca follows while she's still like, she falls in step with Rain, and she says to you like, she like quickly points to her head again. And then telepathically she says, hang on that envelope for a while. I think you're onto something.
If I close the door behind me to German's
I
glass
will
encased
just
office.
I will just say one thing before I leave the room.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, this seems like another shop is going to be closed. Oh, well.
Go ahead.
Hallis is fuming as you say that before you leave. And just as you close the door behind you, you can just hear through the glasses and the door like, oh, he's raging, and you can hear things flipping and being turned upside down.
Telepathically through the glass, since you said I could see through it.
Yeah.
While he's having some hard time, it's like, temper. We'll continue our discussions again, completely in his mind, and just like smiling at him through the glass.
And he just keeps shouting as all of you walk down the stairs. Tresca coming along, and she quickly goes over to a desk to pick up a few things. She has like a bit of a satchel there that she throws over.
One thing, if we are taking the idol with us, could you enchant us at another place?
Oh, well, that's one of the reasons I got employed with Mr. Drummond. And she points over to the forge. Elemental binding requires a stable link to an elemental aspect. And Mr. Drummond's forge here is on a place where the connection with the Furnia, the plane of fire, is thin. So it's easier to commit the binding here. We could look for another forge, but... And she looks at all of you and she lowers her voice a bit. I think you have an interesting entrepreneurial approach to this solution, which I would like to be part of. And I think I know someone we could talk to deal with this situation.
Okay, I have no clue about this elemental thingy, but there's someone to talk to? Yeah.
I
That
hear
sounds good.
solutions. I hear proposed means of expediting what needs to be done.
Before we go, however, I would like to have a quick conversation with Stoke, and it seems like he left.
Stoke?
I know where he is, and I could go fetch him if he's necessary for the conversation. I'm sure he will be more than pleased to finally have some kind of agreement.
Oh, you met Stoke.
Yes, he was very kind in explaining the situation and why we couldn't see Mr. Drummond quicker.
Yes, for a creature without a physical heart, Stoke has a very warm and gentle heart. And I think we should involve him in whatever we are about to plot. Oh dear, this is not how I thought this day would go.
You think they are in some kind of tavern? Because I could use a drink.
Oh, yes, actually. He is supposed to be at the... What was the name?
The
Troll's Nose Inn.
The troll.
Exactly, the Troll's Nose Inn.
Of course he would go there.
We could either move our whole conversation over there, or maybe, Rain, you could stay here with the future proprietor of this business, as it may seem, and Delphine and I will go fetch Stoke.
I will say let's all go over there. Just help picking up all this stuff and then go over there. This place gives me a hard time.
I would very much like a chance to also have a drink and discuss this in a different establishment.
Yes, this place is
Miss
exhausting.
Tresco, if I may, I would suggest to take anything of special value that you might have here, since organic beings tend to have very intense emotions, and I wouldn't want anything dear to you to get damaged.
That is very kind of you, but what is your name?
Oh, Rebus.
Rebus. And the rest of you?
I am Rain.
Delphine.
Delphine. Oh, and you see Dythun. Dythun. Oh. All right. I have most of my important stuff here in my bag. And in this other bag, and you see it's like for... Tresca is a gnome, so for her, that second bag she shows is like a backpack that she puts on. But for most of you, it would be more like a pouch that you could dangle from your belt. This is the work in progress that we're working on, and I'm going to take this with me because I'm not sure what Mr. Drummond will do with it.
How prudent. And I'll open my hand, and with minor illusion, it's going to be like this fuzzy Drummond just having a temper tantrum, and just see him like in pure mocking little hologram on my hand going,
Perfect. To the troll's nose we go then. And she takes one last look over her inventory. You can still hear upstairs in the office, you can hear Drummond still throwing around some stuff, yelling out loud. And then Tresca follows the lot of you out through the kicked-in front door as the four of you, together with the gnome, make your way further into the Cogs, towards the troll's nose, and maybe towards the beginning of starting your own business in the Cogs, or at least replacing a business owner. And how this interesting version of Depth and Dungeons is going to further turn out, we're going to find out next week as we wrap up here for today.
Did we level up?
Not yet, but
That was
maybe
awesome.
before you know it, you might get a level in tax evasion if you keep going like this. And
Actually, the opposite, man.
huh?
It was supposed to be
You are
bring
exactly
things back on track.
exactly. You want to be the honest business, of course, right?
Getting workers the pay that they deserve, forming unions, you know.
I mean, I'm thinking about writing a letter to House Caniff about the wool situation, just to get a better connection to them.
Yeah, this was you. All of you had an interesting approach to this problem, and I'm very curious to see how that further develops.
We are such a chaos crew.
I think that has been established so far. Most of you are very direct in your approach,
Yay!
and that always
To
at least
be fair, like, Rebus did not intend to be like mean or
No.
anything.
I
Like, they're
don't think
just
that ever
like, well,
came
this is the
across.
logical approach. This is a solution to your problems. Why aren't you doing it?
right.
Like,
Exactly.
I do not understand what the problem is, man.
Exactly. Why don't you just pay these people? Why don't you just solve it like this? But I mean, when you're probably have depth with other people, who knows where the money goes? But you're working on a solution for that. All right.
If not, you know, like the Mrs. and Stoke seem to like get along well, and they would have a lovely shop together. So like,
True, yeah.
you know,
Before you know it, you leave the world better than you find it. And who doesn't want to do that? All right. Well, thank you, chat, for watching along and chatting along, and thank you once again for your patience with our technical issues at the start of the session. We're going to make sure that for the next session, we're going to have at least different issues and get the show on the road a bit sooner. But thank you once again for joining in here. Before we wrap this all up, does anyone have anything they want to plug? Any other streams that you have going? Any other projects you want to share? Serial, is there anything you're working on, for example, that you?
Yes, actually. Well, recently I've been working for the past year on this 6-volume series called Not Another Monster Quest.
Mm-hmm.
And I was the person who made the cover for the first volume, and the second volume just came out in DM's Guild. So if you look for Not Another Monster Quest, you will find both volumes there. They're available as PDF and as a physical book. They're both filled with amazing adventures, NPCs, encounters, and lovely art by a bunch of people. So if that's your cup of tea, each volume is dedicated to different monstrous races, and they're really fun. So yeah, volume 2 out now. Go get yours.
Cool. Caro, anything you've been worked on recently, or anything in the pipeline?
So in the pipeline, I mean, I have something in the pipeline since summer, so we'll see when this will be finished. But as the Feywild book from Wizard of the Coast just came out like a few weeks ago, there it was also a supplement I worked on as a part of the team. So, which is Children and Champions of the Fae, where you have right now 9 different folks from which you can pick to play in the Feywild or outside of the Feywild, where like some more background to them, like more background to centaurs or to darklings like that. I've wrote about 2 fairies, so a little bit different approach to them, so that you can find not only like how to play them with character information and different lines, but also you find subclasses and feats and a lot of stuff that you can use in your games. And it's also on the DM's Guild. Cool. And it's actually super pretty. It has so many pictures. It's so pretty.
It is a beautiful PDF.
Yeah,
So,
yeah. It's actually really really cool. Yeah.
Nice.
And
Nice. Yeah, so definitely if you want to run your Feywild game and you want to add some more options, look into that. Ida, anything you still have to share at the end for today? Anything you want to point out? Any shout outs you want to do?
Oh, I had a lot of fun. First time on the stream with you guys. It's like, yay! This was so much fun. And I love being surrounded by very creative people who I am going to support with my retweets and shares. Retweets are free. Help your fellow creators with more exposure, with more engagement, because that costs you nothing. And it helps them immensely. So do it.
Exactly. That is true. Right.
So intense.
Yeah. And I myself also have no other projects. I do, the only project I have going right now is this stream. And I will be back with these fantastic people next week at the same time when we will continue this. If you want to keep an eye on what else is happening on Horde of Tales, make sure to follow us on Twitter at Horde_of_Tales. Join our Discord, where, for example, right now, earlier Serial just posted a doodle of a Minotaur I just described, and it looks awesome.
so sick.
And it's a nice little
Thanks.
side conversation to have there, so feel free to join us there as well. And also just come hang out, chat with us, and we'll be back next week. Once again, thank you very much for being here today, and we wish you a great evening, and see you next week.
And if you're in the
Till
US,
next
go
time.
vote in your local elections. Local elections matter very much. Go be an active participant in democracy. Go!
Very important message at the end. Have a nice evening. See you next
Bye
week.
everyone. Thanks for
See you.
watching.